following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download. It is Tuesday, it's Dirty Air. I'm here with my buddy TJ. How you doing, TJ?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good, man. My head's spinning, man. A lot going on.
I noticed.
I have, just got some great news. So, it's Amy's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday,
Happy birthday, Amy.
Yes. I put a post on my Instagram. If you got Instagram, go on there and say happy birthday. Try to tag her. Let's burn that phone of hers down. Let's get her back on the charger. We're out the battery. Yeah.
Get her up.
Get the battery worn down with some alerts. Send some alerts her way.
I'm gonna FaceTime her later.
FaceTime her. Yeah. She deserves to be celebrated. She's awesome. We have that's one thing. That's probably the greatest thing going on today is that it's her birthday. We had a little scavenger hunt this morning with the girls that we put together. I took Nicole around town yesterday. We got a little bundt cake, put that in the oven, and hid it in the oven, I should say. I had a card for Nicole, card for Isla. They both drew and wrote in their cards their little message. And I got Amy a little gift card to the nail shop and a little gift card to the spa and put it in each card for each kid. And then we hid those. We hid one in the piano and we hid the other one under a lamp. And then we wrote little riddles on where you could find each gift.
This is the most effort I think I've ever heard you put into a birthday.
Yeah. Well,
it's pretty good.
So me and Amy have a job to do tomorrow with we got some work with High Rock Vodka.
Yeah.
And and everything going on today, there literally was no time to do it today or tomorrow.
I got you.
And so we had to get up this morning and have a scavenger hunt before we took the kids off to school.
I bet the girls like that to start the day off a little fun.
Yeah, I think so. We got another thing going on, not so awesome. Our little June bug. We got a Pomeranian June bug. We got the Irish setter Gus. June bug has got to be 15 years old. And June bug had a stroke.
Oh.
Yeah. And so June bug has lost some feeling, I believe, in some parts of his body because the way you ever had a cat or a dog, I suppose, and you put tape on their paw, how they act, they can't.
He walks.
They act like they can't feel, right? He's doing that on a couple legs where he's not sure how where the ground's at and how much, and he falls over. He'll just fall over like a fainting goat. And not moving very well. And for about 2 days was mute. I just got a text from Amy that he's barking. So yesterday I got him just to growl just a little bit because I'll play with him about his food. He won't eat. He hadn't been eating. He has been drinking some water. We're feeding him peanut butter off the tips of our fingers. That's about the only way we can get him to take anything down. And so it's touch and go there for June bug.
Man.
Yep. The prognosis was from the vet was that he might have anywhere from 2 to 6 months. But
Oof.
I would say he's improved over the last couple of days, and Amy just texted me and let me know he's starting to bark a little bit. So he's feeling somewhat better.
Yeah.
But that's a tough one because that's Amy's little man. Of course I love the dog too.
He's been around forever.
He has. But this has been tough on Amy. But y'all don't add that to your little messages of happy birthday. Okay? Let's keep her keep her up. Let's just let her. Yeah, when you hit Amy up on the Instagram, just tell her happy birthday. Don't worry about June bug just yet. But getting that little I just literally got the text from Amy just now. June bug's barking. So that's like a little note of
normalcy.
Progress.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also, before we get too far down the road, the Cars Tour is back this weekend.
Finally.
Wake County. I know it feels like it's been a long
Forever.
time. We did take a race or two out of the schedule this year to make it easier on the teams. It really was a lot of racing last year. But anyways, so it's been a little bit of time since our first race at New River All-American Speedway. Well, we're going to Wake County. Wake County's a tiny, 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 tiny track. So our fields typically at all these racetracks are limited to 28 or 30 cars. We may have more than that at Wilkesboro. But when we go to Wake County, we have to run about 26. It's too small. So we take a couple cars off the back of the field. I think it's 26. But
2 cars makes that big of a difference?
You wouldn't. It's tiny, man.
I've never been there, but
tune your ass in and watch. I know.
I will.
I'm going to Martinsville so I can listen to your ass spot.
I know you miss me once in a while.
Yeah.
You got to come listen.
He really misses hearing you, TJ.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go to Martinsville and watch your Junior Motorsports boys try to win one, get us a clock. But the rest of the crew is gonna be over at Wake County with Connor Hall, trying to make it 2 in a row. So yeah, the Cars Tour is back. Watch that on Flow.
Saturday night.
Please watch it on Flow. I mean, honestly, the success of the Cars Tour is going to go through streaming success. If you like the Cars Tour and you want it to do well, take a look at it every once in a while on Flow, and that's how you can support us. If you can't get out to the racetrack and see the guys run, that's the way to do it. But also we got the Cars Tour West. I mean, the Cars Tour is blowing up, man.
I never anticipated it getting this big.
Cars Tour West has its own Instagram and social handles to be able to kind of follow along and see what's going on there. It's kind of that's kind of been Harvick's brainchild. Remember the old Southwest Tour and things like that.
That's kind of where he grew up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Him and Hornaday, all those guys came out.
Corelli.
Yep. And so that's kind of Harvick's brainchild, is to branch us out and get us out on the West Coast.
And they just had a race a couple weeks ago, right?
They did.
Yeah.
Kern. They ran Kern and I think somewhere else. But the Cars Tour West is kind of, it's in its second year, and last year was just kind of a dipping your toe in the water kind of thing. But it's growing really well, and there's a lot. Car counts are rising, so things are going well for the Cars Tour. But make sure not only if you're following what we're doing here on the East Coast, but also our West Coast Tour, which you can follow their own handles to kind of keep up with them specifically. So before we get to the Sunday race, one more thing. Wyatt Miller, who is Kelly and LW's son, my nephew, he's been racing a lot. I mean, if you follow what we're doing around here, you'll catch a couple here and there what he's doing with his dirt. He runs dirt mainly for Chad Bode and
micros and things like that.
Yeah, all Mill Bridge and all over the country. Travels a lot, races a lot. Hasn't done a ton of asphalt stuff. Ran some Legends cars at Anderson and so forth, Lanier, I guess. But he's not run a lot of asphalt. We got him in a limited car over at Hickory. He's running second race. The first race he went out there and run second. They got a nice little collection of cars that run the limited class over at Hickory. It's perfect for a young guy like Wyatt trying to get an introduction to late model stock or asphalt racing.
Yeah, for sure.
He goes out there in race number 2 and wins. It was awesome.
It's a good race, too.
Yeah, he drove a good line. You could see the potential there. You really can. Connor Hall, Caden Quapple, all of our whole crew, Slim, Brian, Schaefer, all of our groups taking him over there, and they're schooling him and in his ear and teaching him how to handle all this stuff. And it's really, all that's paying off as well. Wyatt's own natural ability comes through, but the potential that you see there in him as a driver shines. But the rest of the crew are sort of chaperoning him, and you couldn't have a better group of people with Brian Schaefer, Connor, and all those guys to help a young driver like that. So Wyatt's in a great spot. Drove a good race, ended up getting the trophy. That's pretty important because Ralph Earnhardt raced there in the 50s, won races. Literally at one point got banned from racing there. He won so much. They tried to put a bounty on him, and he kept winning. But
they just kicked him out, didn't they, eventually?
They just said, don't come back. And, well, I mean, it was just ruining it. The crowd was like, I'm not going to go because Ralph's going to win again. So it was like they thought it was hurting the crowd and everything. So it was detrimental to the racetrack to have Ralph running there. But Dad ran there and won races and track championships in the 70s. I never won a race there. Kerry, I don't think's won one there. Neither is Kelly, but we did run there in the 90s. Kerry and Kelly ran a little bit more than I did. But
was the 70s like the prime for Hickory?
Man, I don't know. The 50s and 60s were pretty good from what I hear too. But yeah, I mean the 70s were great for Hickory, but I would tell you that the 80s and the 90s, the late model. I was going to say, because
the Busch Series raced there too, didn't they?
The Busch Series did. I raced there in 98, 99. But
yeah.
Hickory was very much alive and very successful in the 80s, in the 90s, and then on in the 2000s.
How much fun was the Busch race there?
It was a beat and bang, rough, barely survive kind of deal. But anyhow, cool deal for Wyatt. Want to say congratulations to him. He's racing in his little late model stock. Little note for that car, that if you remember, Corey Day drove our late model stock once last year at Hickory and won same car. It's an old car, but a good car, and our late model team keeps everything up around there, so when we want to do stuff like this, it's ready to go and go run well. So anyways, let's jump into Homestead. Justin Allgaier goes back-to-back with a win, and very happy for Junior Motorsports, obviously, to get 2 in a row. If y'all remember, I wish I could remember the year. It feels like it was 2016, 17, Chicago. And Justin won the race at Chicago, but it was a late restart, and I think he must have been 4th or 5th or 6th in line. I don't think we had been the best car all day long, but we had a late restart, and Justin attacked him and just whooped him, passed him somehow.
Yeah, I remember that.
He just somehow pulled it off, right? And I was saying that at the beer toast at the shop the other day. I'll tell you what I told the whole shop floor. I said, we thank all those folks every time we get them together for a beer toast, which we've done 2 in a row now. And you say, hey, thanks for all the hard work. I'll repeat myself from last week. Thanks for all the hard work. Everybody here's got a lot of responsibilities, and it takes everybody doing everything right for us to go to the racetrack and be great. I said, but I want to celebrate a little personality quirk in our driver, Justin Allgaier. The fact that, a lot of guys, listen, I'm going to be honest. Race car drivers, there's some great elite race car drivers out there. There's a lot of good race car drivers out there. And then there's some guys out there where you kind of got to hold their hand a little bit, but they can get the job done. So not all of them have this particular quality that I think Justin has. So if you race all day long and you're sitting there running 3rd, 4th, 5th the entire day, it sort of gets driven into your mind, beat into your brain, lap after lap after lap, that you don't have the best car here today. That's okay. If today goes well, you should run in the top 5, and that will be a good result, right? And so as the day's going on, you're running lap after lap after lap, you sort of come to this prognosis or this assumption or this, you concede to the idea that, man, if we can get out of here with this result, I'll be satisfied because I feel like that's our potential. And so when it comes down to a late caution, Justin must have been 14, 15 seconds behind when that caution came out.
Yeah, Larson was
He's still
dominating.
Yeah.
Right. Larson's gone. We're still happy. Justin, we're all like, hey, this is still a decent result. We're on the lead lap.
It was one of them days.
Yeah. But the late yellow comes out, and I'm going to tell you, I'm not overstating this, man. 80% of the drivers that are ever going to drive in NASCAR are not thinking, here's my shot to win.
Why? It makes no sense.
Well, that was obvious on the restart, the choose.
Yeah.
Sam Mayer second and chooses inside road behind Larson, thinking, okay, I'm just going to lose him anyway. I'm
just
going
going to push Larson to the win and try to get
second.
Yeah, I'm going to get in the launch line.
Exactly.
And so,
But Justin many times is in first and sees the caution and loses.
sorry again.
Justin has been in first before. Caution comes out and ends up not winning. So wouldn't you be like, okay, he's better than me today, but I've got a chance now. I don't get why you would ever be like, I'm good with third.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that, especially in this particular instance, when you got a guy like Kyle Larson dominating the day, when the late yellow comes out, I don't think there was many people, if there might not have even been one, sitting there going, I'm going to take this win. I'm going to steal this win away.
Yeah, I agree.
They all were thinking, I'm going to go down in the corner and try not to lose. Like, I'm going to try not to, I'm sitting here restarting second. I'm going to try not to finish sixth. I'm going to try not to, I'm restarting fourth.
Yeah.
I'm going to try not to this up and finish 10th.
We'll maintain.
Yeah. Because you get down in there and get used up or get put 3 wide or get shoved out or somebody runs across your nose and takes the air off your car and you can't throttle up off the 2, you lose all kinds of spots. And then, if you restart kind of in those situations, especially on a slick old racetrack, you just want to come back to the checkered where you restarted at the least.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
At the minimum. Anything else is disappointing, and anything gained is a bonus. But never, and I'll tell you, man, look, this is a flaw of my own that I'm trying to admit to you. Like, if I'm sitting there in that car of Justin's, I'm not sitting there going, oh, man, I'm going to win this race, or I got a chance to win this race. Now, I'm going to fire it down in the corner, and whatever happens, happens. If they all, it up in front of me, I might, end up victorious. Great. But I'm not seeing that. I'm not visualizing that as a driver leading up to that, green flag.
I know. You never see it happening like that.
And I don't know that Justin is like, oh, man, I got a plan to get into victory lane. But
you got hope, though.
Well, yeah. Hope. Everybody's got hope, bud. Everybody's got hope. You want to torpedo this idea of mine?
I just don't think I know. I'm not doubting that it's an idea that's true because obviously you had it, but I don't know how you could have it.
I think it's in the back of their minds right there because it's a restart. You never know what's going to happen.
You never know what's going to happen. But I'm just going to tell you that given what I've seen from Justin and what I know as a driver and what I've watched in the last 40 years, Justin has something a little bit extra in those moments. That race, if you go back and watch this race I'm talking about from Chicago, like the way he knifed through there and just kind of took it away. Now, this certain incident, he didn't do that at Homestead. They just, look, Larson got...
He kind of did. He still had to pass Austin Hill.
He did, but Larson kind of got screwed over.
Yes.
If that doesn't happen, who knows? Larson probably goes on and wins the race. But to your point, like he goes down in the corner, gets down in there, and he has to kind of make a decision to cross the 21 over.
He made a perfect decision.
Right, and it was great, and he's racing to win instead of to... Most people in that situation are racing to maintain or survive, are they not?
Yeah, 100%.
He's racing, and he flipped it right in the middle of that corner to racing to win. And I think that's what is fun about being his car owner is I know when we get that late restart and he's in the top 4, he's gonna race to win as opposed to racing to survive. And that's fun.
I think in the first 100 feet when he saw Larson spin his tires and he cleared him into 1, I think Justin knew it was like that was the switch that got flipped right there.
Yeah, his mind changes quicker in those moments. He sees opportunity and seizes it, right? Right then. Where I don't know that a lot of guys are that quick to sort of to flip that mode and make happen what needs to happen, right? And so, I don't know. We're talking about the difference between a guy who is, in the top 95% versus a guy that's in the top 97%, right? Or, you know what I'm saying? I might not have worded that perfectly, but I think what I'm trying to say is Justin's in the top 3% of some of the best drivers, at least at his level in the Xfinity Series. He's not a Cup driver, so let's not try to compare him to Cup drivers. But in the Xfinity Series, man, I don't know that there's many guys that can go toe-to-toe with him.
Well, the guy that I think he passed.
Yeah. He's just got a little extra couple of qualities. That's one of them that I really appreciate. And I'll just say, man, I've had a lot of drivers come through this building. Let's just whittle it down to the people that have drove for me. They're great. They've gone on to be champions, but not every single one of them has that little gator in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a neat little quality where he can flip to that. He can flip from that. I'm going to try not to this up and just try to maintain. I don't want to spin my tires. I'm going to go off in here and try to at least get this top 4, right? And when he sees that opportunity, it's a quick transition.
He sees blood in the water and goes for it.
It's quick. All right, so let's move on to the Cup race. First off, what was the end of the good race poll? I think it was
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I think it was in the 80%. I was a little surprised. Now, I thought it was a good race. Not a bad race at all. But the last couple of weeks, man, the percentage has
83.
83. So, and remember for Josh Berry's win at Vegas, it was in the high 80s. Remember 87, 89 or something?
87.
That's pretty high.
Yeah.
These days, that's high.
I know. I thought these last 2 weeks were good races, but they were like mid to low 70s.
Do you think though that part of that problem is we had cautions late that kind of ruined some of the strategies, so we lost how that would have played out?
I think somebody's hired some bots for the yes vote. That's what I think. Anyways, I thought it was a good race. I watched it and there were some really cool moments. There was some strategy and some comers and goers, some guys that had some guys where their car, there was parts of the race where, certain people's cars handled better than others and they faded and some other guys come on strong.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of what you expect at a place that handling is such a premium. And so it definitely ended up, we got lucky, I think, at the end of that race to have Larson, chasing somebody down, right? I mean, Larson at the end of the race had the best car, but fortunately for all of us as viewers, he had to work to get to the front. It wasn't just he wasn't just like in that Xfinity race driving away from everybody. So Alex Bowman is running on the fence, trying to do the best thing he can, come down inside of 10 laps to go. And, man, you're watching that race, and both of them are kind of getting into the fence a little bit, even so slightly, ever so easily touching the wall. But Bowman basically, so the car runs through the corner in y'all. And Amy's always asking me, what does y'all mean? She'd never heard that term before.
Y'all going to have dinner tonight?
Y'all. And so the car goes through the corner pitched in y'all. And that's awesome. You want that. You want that car yawed out. Not too far, that's when it's called loose. But if it's yawed out and got good side force, man, you can really make some work at Homestead. And you get up against the wall with the car in a pitch, and you'll kind of clip the right rear against the fence a little bit. What you don't want happening is basically the right rear hits the wall so much or so hard that it slides the front tires up into the fence. And that's kind of what happened to Bowman. It's bad with the trucks. Any kind of car, especially that has the body sort of wedged or the right rear hanging out like our trucks and our Xfinity cars do, you can you get that right rear into the fence and you get in there a bit too hard and that right rear gets too much contact. It brings the front the right front tire starts to lose traction and the car almost wedges into the wall. And then it's like you can't get off of it.
Wall glue.
Yes. And then you blow the damn sidewall out of the tire because you're sitting there trying to turn the steering wheel to get the car off the wall, and you're just dragging the sidewall with some incredible force against the outside retaining wall, and it blows out the sidewall. That's why you get those flat tires on the Xfinity cars so easily. Larson is in elite territory with running the high side. The secret to running the top very good is all on entry. And I tried to explain this to drivers. I even tried to explain it to one of our drivers this weekend before they flew out to Homestead. I used to run the top a lot, especially at Homestead. We'd go there for a tire test, and dude, on a green racetrack, I could smoke everybody's ass over 0.3 to a half a second faster over a 20-lap run, just hauling ass up there. And running the top, when you're doing it right, should be very easy. A lot of drivers that try to run the top try to charge the entry too hard, and you don't. When you run a racetrack, you enter as hard as the car can enter without pushing, without missing the middle. You drive the car always to a limit of the tire, entering the corner, center, exit. You're really pushing the car all the way up to that slip angle of the tire. And when you run the top, you don't do it that way. You can back your entryway up. You can coast into the corner. If you're pushing the car to the level of the slip angle of the tire on entry, running the wall, you're doing it wrong. All of the speed isn't gained on entry or anywhere else. It's all how quick can I get to the throttle and how much I can maintain throttle. And basically, you're making the straightaway longer. If we just don't think about the shape of the track, if you think about the straightaway as the time that you're in the gas, from the moment you pick the throttle up to the moment you lift for the next corner, you're trying to maximize being in the throttle longer. And so I try to tell drivers all the time, like, if you're getting in the corner and you're like, ooh, I'm sliding, I'm gonna hit the wall. If that's going on, you're doing it wrong. You're way over your head getting in the corner. You got to get in there real easy, roll in, coast. You're not even near pushing the car to its full potential in terms of grip on entry. But you get in there and you pick the throttle up like quarter throttle, half throttle, really, really early, and you hold it there. You just sit there and hold that throttle all the way through the center of the corner, and you start kind of feeding the car a little more gas, and you're just kind of always doing that. You never want to feed it so much gas that you kind of got to back out of the throttle again on the corner exit just so you don't smack the fence, right? You gotta kind of know, like, I can give it a little bit more. As you're kind of feeding the throttle, you're finishing the corner, and then by the time you're near exit, you ought to be full throttle and sending the car down the straightaway. And that's how you get these massive runs on the people that are running the bottom of the racetrack or the middle of the racetrack. And so you can give up and the entry should be easy. The entry should be simple. There should be no challenges on entry of the corner. You shouldn't be even nowhere near getting that car into the fence. And it's repetition. You just kind of keep repeating the process. You find that line running the top where you're definitely like 2 or 3 tenths faster than everybody running anywhere else on the track, and you just do that over and over and over. You don't try to get more the next corner, get more the next corner. You don't try to improve it, make it better. You don't try to get more. Once it clicks, you just sit on that. Just keep doing that, because it's a worn-out racetrack, and you're going to beat the tires up, and you want it to do this as long as it can, right? And so you just keep going lap after lap after lap, same thing,
but
over and over and over.
Can you stay in that same path because you've got other cars? So how do you?
Well, that's where it gets messed up.
That's where it gets messed up. So when you run up on somebody running the wall in front of you, certainly you have to adjust. You have to run a lane down, or you can try to get that run on them and try to slide job them into the next corner. There is this nice new kind of move that's came around since I was racing at Homestead, where you can drive off into the bottom of turn 1 and 2 and up into the third and fourth groove.
Yeah.
Saw the 23 doing that. Bubba Wallace.
Yeah. It's because you back when you catch somebody around the top, they back their entry up so much, like you said. You can drive really hard into the bottom and take their line before the exit.
We saw Larson almost get Denny at the end of stage 2, I think, doing that.
And once you can get in front of them and steal their air, it kind of puts them in such a compromising situation. There's nothing they can do about it. They're not gonna drive over you on corner exit.
The worst part is catching somebody that's running the top but not really running the top, and they think they are, and they're
a foot and a half off the wall,
or half a car length, and you're like, come on, just down or up.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you, man, racing at Homestead is a blast. Running the wall is a blast. There's nobody that does it as good as Larson, and the reason why is because Larson enters on the wall. A lot of guys are scared to enter on the wall because they think, well, if I enter right on the wall, there's no room for error. I'm gonna, if I get in there a little too far, even a half a car length too far, I'm gonna hit it.
And it makes it worse too.
Yeah, and there's zero room for error when you enter right on the wall. And so a lot of guys will enter a car length low and slide up to the wall. That still can run a decent lap time, but it won't run the lap time that Kyle Larson can make.
To me, that's harder to do, though, because you're judging more things. When you enter on the wall, you're literally you're in there easy. When you slide up to it, you're always managing the slide up, your speed on entry up, and then where you're going to get to the wall at.
Yep.
To me, that's harder to do than running the fence on the entry.
It's harder on the tire too, because you're sliding the tire to the center.
The cheese grater going right across the track.
You're driving it in harder than you should. You're worried about slapping the fence in the middle. You're not picking the throttle up. Larson's already in the gas.
Oh yeah,
he's already by the time you get up to the wall. Even if you're entering a half a car length off the wall and slide in, by the time you get to the wall, that's kind of when you're starting to go to throttle. He's already in the gas behind you because
his average speed from the center off is way higher.
Mid corner speed is where he's beating your ass. And so, and the other thing too is he doesn't rush the throttle. Like you get in the middle, so he's coasting in nice and easy. Where the guy that's running a little bit lane, half a lane or a lane lower, is sending it in there harder and having to, like, every once in a while slap the wall because they're trying too hard. He's coasting in. It's way easier on his tire. He's picked the gas up way before you, so he's rolling up to you as you're trying to not hit the fence, and then you pick the gas up, right? And then you got to rush throttle, and you might grab a little too much throttle at the three-quarter part of the corner and then have to come roll back off 10, 15% so you don't smack the wall on the corner exit. He's just coming, man. He's just building in speed, smart and clean. He can probably go to more throttle in the middle of the corner. He doesn't. He's going to finish the corner. The gain on the top is finishing the corner with throttle. And he will sacrifice and maybe give up a bit in the middle of the corner, still beat you through there. But, man, the gain he gets on corner exit because he's so clean on throttle, and he can do it every single lap.
Is it an experience thing or just a skill thing? Because there's many drivers that are older than Larson, and we talk about Reddick being really good on the wall too, and he's younger. So is it more of that these guys and what their racing styles are and what they grew up with versus experience?
Here's the admission to – here's the answer to that, but the moment I saw it. We were at Chicago. Kyle was racing in the 42. Now, I think before Kyle Larson got here, I felt like I was one of the three best running the top. And I thought, and I would go up there and run the wall at Chicago or Atlanta and some of these places, and I'd be motoring up on people, and they'd tell their spotter would be like, "Man, you got to get up higher. He's higher. He's higher than you are." And they're like, "Ain't no way," And then Kyle Larson comes onto the scene, and we're racing at Chicago, and I'm running the top, and so is he. Nobody's running higher than both of us, but he's doing one thing different. he's beating me, and he's doing one thing different than I am. And I saw it. I couldn't believe it because it just didn't make any freaking sense. But we were going down the front straightaway, and when you get to the end of the front straightaway, Chicago, the outside wall goes out about a half a car length, and there's this sort of, the wall just goes out and away to the right.
A little bit. Yep, I can see it.
And then it wraps around the corner, right? And I didn't think to follow the wall. Well, I'll just cut that little part off and drive into the corner, and then get back to the wall, and I'm good, right? And I'm up on time. I'm running around there, and I see him out there in front of me about 5 cars, and when he got to turn 1, and he chased the wall. The wall steered out toward the right, and he followed it. And so what he gained from that happened in the middle and the exit of the corner. And I watched him do that about 2 laps, and I thought, damn, man, like he's dotting I's and crossing T's, and he's doing all the details. Like, I'm running the top, but this man's not leaving no stone unturned. The one of the things that I think is happening there is, I talked about how the car is in yaw. It's pitched, right? If the wall is always perpendicular, right? If the wall is always straight, even in the turn, right? You put a car up against the wall, the side of that car is in yaw. And so what that creates is a funnel, right? The car's pitched, right, up against the wall, and it creates a funnel. All this air is coming down the right side of the car, and it's getting packed and condensed right back at that right rear quarter panel. And it creates a cushion, a pillow, a bubble. And the more perfect you can make that, the closer you can get that right rear quarter panel to the wall, the more side force you create and add to your car. And so Larson showed me that day that he wants that side force and that potential to have that side force at all times. And so he'd chase the wall to keep the car pitched and up against it, even way early on entry. And so that's what he then took to Homestead, particularly the entrance to turn 3. If you really want to go study some of his watch how he enters turn 3 when he's on the wall.
That's what Denny said is 1 and 2 people are pretty close, but 3 and 4 is where he really excels.
Yes. He enters, he never leaves it. He's at his closest point to the fence, where we always kind of see him maybe brushing the wall on exit of 4. He's just as close entering. That's what you got to celebrate. And he starts activating, creating, producing that extra side force instantly on entry to the corner. And he never chases the car down in there so far that he's over his head on entry, right? He's never battling balance. Just rolls in there real nice and easy, starts building that side force, starts throttling up early, just patient in the throttle, don't rush the throttle, and just sort of builds that speed all the way around to the exit. Because what he wants is to be faster down the straightaway. And so he's just making all of those things happen, and he's just building all that up so that when he comes off the corner, he's hauling ass. And he just keeps, and it's just a repetition thing. Just corner after corner after corner after corner, just doing the same thing over and over and not trying to do more. Because so as a race car driver, when you run the racetrack, every time you go through the corner, you go, what could I have done better? I'll try that next time. What did I up? I'll adjust for that next time, right? And you're doing that the whole run, right? There are some times when you fall into a really good rhythm because the car is just so damn good, but most of the time you're always sort of adjusting your entry speed, your throttle position, and you're just always moving and adjusting and with things, trying to really get faster and do it better. And when you run the wall at Homestead, when you run it right, you just you just try to replicate that, and don't try to get more. Just try to, because it's such an advantage when done right. You don't need to get more. You just want to do it over the course of the entire run, and nobody does it better. He is one of a kind, very smart, intelligent, he knows where every little advantage is to running the wall, and puts it together every single lap. It's fascinating. It's fun to do. I love watching somebody like Larson do it as well as he does. I love watching all these other drivers try to mimic him and try to learn from him. You got guys, Noah Gragson posting photos on his social media about how, with his car all up against the wall, and he's like, man, I can't wait to go to Homestead. It's so fun. I love that other people.
Noah's good at it too.
TJ, what were you dealing with Carson? What was some of the things that this was his first, so what was it like for you guys?
I thought Carson got really good at it. This is the first time we've had to run against the fence, and Carson, by the end of that race, the first few times he was running up there, I was kind of like, are we going to hit it? Are we not going to hit it? And Carson learned it really well for his first race there. So it's always hard going there with a rookie. Homestead's a tricky track, and there's so many lines that you can use, and then the high lane obviously comes in, and you try to teach them that. Like last year with Zillich running it, he had 3 or 4 moments into one where I thought he was going to spin out, but the wall saved him, and they got to learn that stuff. But I thought Carson did a really good job of learning it if he needed to use it. And it's a tough place because there's so much fall off. You end the run 35 laps or 40 laps on your tires, and you're seconds off from what from new tires. Then you come out there with new tires, and you gotta know that adjustment. That's what Justin's really good at too. Is Justin knows the grip level in his tires, and he's done it 1,000 times, so he knows how hard he can go from what he was doing. And Larson's really good at running the top, but he's also, I think you got to give a little credit to the crew chiefs. Like Cliff knows how to set the car up where he can, because you can't be super tight on entry, and you can't be too loose on entry to run up there. The car has to be able to get into the corner easy too, and not have big handling issues and stuff. So you got to give them guys a little bit of credit, and Kyle telling them what he needs to make them adjustments and get it to where he can do that stuff.
Yeah. Well, Alex Bowman tried his hardest to put the laps together. I think you're looking in the mirror, and maybe with that digital dash and how clear that is, it's even more apparent. This the guy's getting closer. So you try harder, and when you try harder, running the wall, that's what happens. Mm-hmm. Like when you're running, when you got a guy up there running against the wall, you can't give it more throttle. You can't send it in there deeper. You can't pick the gas up sooner. There's nowhere to go. You're going to hit the wall. You're doing everything you can do. The best thing that Bowman could have done, the only option that Bowman had was to just sit there and try not to hit the wall and hope that would be enough.
Yeah.
And
with like 4 to go, Kyle actually got into one.
Yeah.
I don't know if they showed it on TV or not. I looked down there, and Kyle got into one a little hot and kind of caught the right front with just the littlest bit of the wall. And I was like, to me, that was like, if Alex saw that, or I don't know if Kevin Hamlin spotter told him, but to me, that was like, okay, this he struggled. Like, he's trying hard here, and if I put my car in just the right spot, he might not get me. I felt like that Larson would have figured it out, probably would have done a slide job or something like that. If he got close enough,
He would have probably figured out a way to get around the 48, but honestly, Bowman's only chance was to, in that moment, he's sitting there, and I'm thinking, man, somebody needs to tell him, all you got to do is just don't hit anything, and just run the best lap you can without hitting the wall. And I know he's trying to do that, but it's basically that's all you can do, right? And it is a tough spot for him to be in, and he ended up again collecting the wall a little bit and sucking the right front kind of slant.
Still a great run for Alex, though.
Yeah, it was. I was glad that his car, come off the wall, didn't have a flat or anything like that. God,
that'd have been terrible to end your day like that.
Sitting there leading the race, and then you come down pit road, and you got to give up a lap.
Well, that's why you just have the mentality, just let Larson pass me, and I'll take second, and I'm happy with that, right?
Well,
I don't know if that's you're not.
It's a little aggressive.
Until he passes you, you're not thinking that. But to even be in that position, like Alex really just rode in the top 5 all day.
Yeah,
And if you hang out in that spot, you're going to get a shot at winning. And he did.
Yeah. Ryan Blaney had the best car at many points in the race and blew up an engine hand grenaded one.
Another
in
one.
Spectacular fashion.
How frustrating is that when you have a fast car and it just blows up?
I'll be honest. That's this is another one of them things where I think some drivers are different. Like Blaney, his reaction is not uncommon, not unusual, but probably more on the more frustrated side of things. I'm not. Blaney is spicy.
Yeah, we all know he's a fiery one on the radio.
Yeah, but I always felt like when something happened that was out of my control, I was like not as bothered by when something happened that was in my control, right? Now, if I'd built the motor, I'd feel like a piece of shit. I'd be damn disappointed. I'd be sad, disappointed, apologetic. But, if I'm racing and drive the car into the wall or wreck myself, then I feel terrible and upset and mad about it. But if the motor blew up or we ran out of gas, now, there's a couple times we ran out of gas. I got pretty angry. But most times.
Which time was the worst?
Pocono. I was with Tony Jr. It's 2008 or so. It was 2008.
I'd have been with you, so
yeah.
I don't remember.
We were running 12th, and man, I had been busting my ass all day to run 12th, and we ran out of gas with 2 laps to go. It wasn't even close, and everyone else made it. I was like, I didn't.
Oh yeah, that does make you mad when that happens.
Yeah, I was like, how the hell are we that far off? I got out of the car and took my helmet and knocked the left front fender off of it. I was so pissed.
And that was for 12th place, that?
Yeah. I know. It doesn't make sense. I ran out of gas off of turn 4 leading the world or the Charlotte race. I don't know if it was the 600 or the second race.
I was the 600.
Was it?
Yeah, it was the 600.
I mean, I ran out of gas there, and I'm like, well, we knew we were tight. We knew we were close.
Okay, I see.
That wasn't that's a heartbreaker for a lot of people. I see that pop up on social media for fans of ours.
But you had a shot at it.
Yeah.
Like you were in a position that you probably shouldn't have been in already, right?
Yeah. Running out of gas when you're not supposed to is really frustrating. But I'm just saying, we're getting in the weeds here. If I was Blaney, if I was in Blaney's shoes, my reaction would have been different than his. Now that doesn't make it right. He's a champion. He's got.
What was his interview? I didn't see what he said. He's
the one that went down there. He's the one that's went all the way to Phoenix and done it. And so maybe his attitude's the right one to have, being fiery and being emotional and he's balled in. He's all in.
I also think any time a driver is emotional in car audio, you got to take it with a grain of salt to begin with.
Yeah. But I would be also thinking, damn, we're fast, right?
Yeah, they're the fastest.
Yes. I'd have been like, hey, y'all, that sucked. But hell, man, that's a great race car.
Yeah, do you think that hits like Sunday night or Monday?
Maybe that's the way he is. Like day later, he's like, man,
I mean, you got to look back and look forward to going there again because you were fast.
Yeah.
So that motor is eventually the mechanical failure is eventually going to get put in the back burner, and you're going to want to go back to there.
I mean, he should have won last year.
Yeah.
He knows he's fast there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, pretty cool. There is a big debate about Homestead, Miami hosting the championship race. I think that debate or that idea is still alive and well. TJ, what are you hearing? I mean, I'm sure you're hearing all kinds of rumors.
I think I probably just heard everything everyone else has with.
Is it true? I thought I heard the boys on DBC say that some of the drivers were headed down there to announce it.
I have heard that,
and that somehow the deal didn't fall through, but it just didn't get.
I don't think it was scheduled to be done yet. But I don't know. I mean, I've heard the same things everyone else has heard.
And then there's been talks of Vegas potentially.
Really?
After
the following year.
Oh, so like going to Homestead then Vegas?
Yeah.
Don't hate either one of those.
What if you did? So Denny's idea is he wants a 3 race for the championship.
Oh.
What if you did Phoenix, Vegas, and Homestead?
I don't care.
It doesn't matter as long as it's 3. Even if you put Martinsville in there, it's fine.
Yeah.
So
this is what I think. you go somewhere Vegas, and then you have your banquet celebration, crown your champion all out there within days of the championship race.
I agree.
You could even do it that night. You could have the championship race on Sunday and then have your banquet Sunday night.
If you won the championship, though, are you wanting to go to the banquet?
I don't know if you do the
Why
banquet.
not? You're the champion.
That's a little early. I mean, you want to go party.
Yeah, but I want to go party.
You want to go
What
party.
is the banquet? The banquet is
yeah,
the
but you
party.
got to be a little subdued. Like,
No, you don't. So you run the banquet is only like 2 hours.
Travis has some dumb ideas, but I agree with him on this one.
I'm just saying, you want to go to bed and wake up next morning. You want to go party and then have the banquet win.
I think do it a few days later. Do it Wednesday or something.
You
Also,
make everybody hang around out there for a couple days.
Yeah, whoever's going to the banquet.
if you lost, do you want to go sit there at the banquet also?
Well, you can go home. Go home. Take your ass home. I did. I didn't go to all the banquets.
Yeah, but if it's that night,
I go home if I want to. Go home.
I don't think many are sticking around. If you don't win the championship, you lose it. You're not sticking around.
so it's going to be a banquet of one.
What is the deal, Travis? Have you ever been to the banquet?
I have not.
All right. So, do you know that not everybody goes? Do you
Yes.
know that some of the drivers don't go? Do you know that they only go when NASCAR makes them go?
But don't you make it even less people that are going to go if it's that night?
The night of the no, you'd have more. You think people are going to a banquet in the middle of December, and you're going to get more people than if you had it right after the championship race while the whole industry is there? Why would that not make sense?
I think that night's a little aggressive, but I think that the closer you can do it to that is better, though.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe a day later.
Yeah, meet us in the middle, Dale. Like,
One day after. But Monday. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
What if you had a Saturday night race and a Sunday night banquet? Maybe that. I just having the banquet on a Monday just sounds silly. But I don't know. I think the Vegas banquet was a blast. Because, I mean, that was one I rarely skipped.
okay, this is what it comes down to: location.
Oh, yeah.
It does matter.
Yeah.
Like, it does matter.
So, listen, I think it was good in Nashville, good in Charlotte. But
Miami's can be good. If you're in Homestead, you go to Miami.
Nah. Vegas was fun because, listen, you go to the banquet and you didn't mind coming in a couple days early because you're gonna have fun, you're gonna gamble, you're gonna go to the restaurants, you're gonna eat the dinners, the places you like.
Go to a show.
Wife's excited. Yep, wife's excited. She's coming along. You're gonna have some fun. It was almost like about 4 or 5 date nights in a row.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And then, you had the banquet. If you ain't winning a championship, the banquet's blah.
Yeah.
I mean, for everyone else besides the champion, the banquet's just kind of a
but the trip's fun.
mandatory thing, right?
Yeah.
When the banquet's over, you really get in the gas, right? You might go to the championships party. You might go wherever the hell you want, right? But it's your last night in Vegas, right? So you you get on the gas, you have some fun. And everybody gets a little tuned up at night. Everybody's gambling a little later than normal. And it's just a fun deal. So maybe after having those thoughts, you run the race, and then the banquet's like Wednesday. Right?
I can sign off on that one.
Yeah.
See, I think Key West to me, or not Key West, Homestead to me is similar, but in a different respect. Because people like to go to Homestead because of Key Largo, because of Key West. They make it a different type of, like, a lot of teams went early to go fishing for a day.
Yeah.
And there's things like that I think that location offers different type of things.
I agree. It's a great location, a great place to hang out. Key West is awesome. But, I mean, in terms of like a banquet, I don't know really where you would have the banquet that it could compete with Vegas. Because, man, you go to Vegas, the banquet, whatever the hotels the banquet's in, man, you could stay in that hotel and eat at 6 freaking restaurants and never leave the building. Go to the banquet, do all the things, and never leave the same building. And hell, some of them are tied together. You can go from one casino to the next without going outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fun. But we had a lot of habits out there, a lot of places, a lot of restaurants we loved going to, and we would continue to go to, and we couldn't wait to go to every time we'd go out there. And we would change hotels because the hotels have different vibes and themes, and you would go, oh, let's stay at this one this time. All right, we love that one. Let's go back to that one. And you made connections with the people that worked at the hotels that got you perks and things like that. So Vegas was awesome. I would not be sad to see us end the season out there. And if we did, I think we might as well go on and have the banquet.
Close to the race.
Instead of having to go home for a couple weeks and turn around and go back, or go back to Charlotte or whatever, might as well just do it right there while the industry's in town.
I think that's part of it too. It's a good hike to get out there.
I'm fine with Denny's 3-race idea.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, and I really don't. I don't know that there's a perfect 3-race round for the championship, but I'd be hesitant to throw a Daytona or a Talladega or an Atlanta in it. I would be.
You can't do that.
I think it has to be said. I'd be hesitant to put one of them in there, and I'd be hesitant to put a road course in there.
I would be too.
Even though road courses are becoming a dominant part of our schedule and probably going to continue to increase in numbers, I just think I think stock cars and short tracks and oval tracks and mile and a halves and Darlingtons and all those are the ones that's NASCAR to me. And so I would want it to be 3 ovals of varying sizes.
Great take.
Yeah. All right. There was one more piece of information for Martinsville. The tires this weekend, they're going to be the same as in November. There are no 2 different versions of tires this weekend. Would have been easier if you just said they're not bringing the option tire this year, or they're not bringing 2 types. But I get it. And we're not expected this year to see another race where they run the primary or the option. That's interesting.
Yeah. We saw what it did at Phoenix.
Yeah.
Why not do it this weekend?
My question is the same tire that they ran in November, TJ, is that the soft tire? Is that the option tire?
I thought that's what they said.
Yeah.
But I'm not
exactly
sure if that's what it is.
Has Goodyear and NASCAR, maybe listening to some of the drivers, decided to go ahead and do away with the primary at all of these tracks, and let's go to these short tracks, or let's go when we go back to Phoenix, maybe we have just the option tire, the soft tire.
I'd be okay with that.
That's what we all want.
Yeah, I'm 100% fine with it.
That's what we're all wanting, and that's what Denny said over and over. He's like, "Hey, we've learned that the option tire is the better tire, and let's just run that tire, right?"
I'd be okay with an option of the option.
Yeah, maybe the option becomes the primary, and we go even softer,
exactly,
even more aggressive.
I am on board with that.
Give me the softest tire possible.
Yeah, well, that's a gamble that I don't know that Goodyear's willing to take. There might be some more creeping up on that.
I just don't like. Off topic a little bit. We brought the same tire back to Bristol the second race, and it ran completely different. They said they brought the same tire back. Remember that? Like,
I know.
I don't understand that. Like, how could it be that drastically different?
Yeah,
but I enjoyed the managing of the tires and watching the drivers not just be have to actually put another element into their toolbox. Pull another tool out where they had to. Okay, if I drive too hard, I'm going to pay for this. But I've got a little bit there if I want to try to go past a couple guys. Like, I really enjoyed that. Maybe I'm alone in that, but I liked that part of it.
When the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because FanDuel is your home for NBA live betting. So even if you miss the first few minutes of the game, or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can make your picks from the first whistle until the final buzzer. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now's the perfect time to join. New FanDuel customers get started off with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Me and my friends have been having a lot of fun putting some parlays together and just betting a little bit to make the games a lot more fun to follow along. So just visit FanDuel.com/Dale Jr. to join today. That's FanDuel.com/Dale Jr. for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Kyle, thanks for tuning in today, man. Where are you at?
I'm at HMS. I'm outside the Exalta building. That's where they set up all the diecast cars to sign, so I was just signing some diecasts.
Yep. What else happens today? You got a comp meeting? Was that yesterday?
Yesterday. Today I got to, some people from McLaren are coming by to show me, I guess they have like a new steering wheel or something, so I don't know if I need to mold my hand to it or what, but I got to do that next, and then the kids race at Millbridge later tonight.
So
Nice.
I think I'm busy sometimes, but then I hear about the life that you're living these days, and I don't know how you do it, man. I mean, you have all of the things that you do, driving the Cup car, the IndyCar stuff, racing with your son, your high limit sprint car series, all of that stuff takes a ton of time and dedication. And I'm just curious as to, kind of how y'all fit it together and, what's the motivation?
Yeah, no, it gets overwhelming at times, but for the most part, I guess it's just what I'm used to. So I don't know if I don't know anything different. I don't really feel like I'm that crazy busy, but, there's different points of the year that are busier than others. I think, I would say about now till August, is pretty wide open with racing and, especially with the Indy stuff in May, that was, really, busy last year doing all that. And then, the summer months are just crazy with the amount of dirt racing that I do. But, once I get to August, about when the playoffs start, it's really, dirt racing is done then, really just NASCAR stuff, and I get to spend more time at home, which is nice. That's the time of year I get to go to Audrey's baseball games and go to more Millbridge races and just be a normal person, go on the lake a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but right now it's just a grind.
Yeah, for sure. It is. It's funny because there's certain parts of the year where it just ramps up and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I always felt like around the Charlotte race weekends were some of the toughest, busiest times of the year ever. For whatever reason, it didn't really make a lot of sense. But you could always count on little chunks of the season just kind of being about as much as you could take in terms of things you got going on. I got to ask you, incredible job this past weekend. I know you love racing at Homestead, and you certainly have a knack for that particular track and the style of getting around that place. And we talk about it here on the show. I think Letarte talks about it a little bit on social media today about where you maximize your speed. And I was telling these guys a story about seeing kind of the first time I really studied your line was at Chicago. I was on the racetrack with you, and Chicago had this funky little entrance to turn one where the wall actually steered away from the racetrack and kind of went to the right. And I always kind of shortcutted that into turn one and just met the wall somewhere about the 20% mark. But I saw you follow it, and I thought, damn, I never thought to follow the fence, even if it was kind of going away from me. And then you brought that to Homestead, particularly entering turn three. That was something I think you did before anyone else. We always kind of entered the corner about a half a lane off and get to the fence around the 20 or 40% mark. You were the first one to really start, kind of enter the corner where you were on the wall, as close to the wall as you possibly could be. And you find a way to make that produce speed for the rest of the corner. It's a fascinating thing. I don't know if you can really articulate, what you're trying to do up there to us today, but I think everybody just wants to celebrate you and being somebody that does that maybe possibly arguably better than anybody else in the series. What's the trick to running the top?
Well, thank you. That's cool to hear. I miss Chicago. Chicago was a fun track. I don't remember. I feel like turn one was kind of similar to Kansas. Like Kansas, you do a little bit of that, but the surface was way more wore out then. So, but yeah, I miss Chicago. But anyways, yeah, running the wall, I don't know. Like I mean, yeah, the more you can commit on entry to, being next to the wall with speed, I think is important. Um, it is, I feel like how you carry the speed. A lot of people, I feel like either when I'm behind them or when I, look at what they're doing on SMT, I think, they try to enter fast, but they carry that speed a little bit too far. And then that's when they either hit the wall or they have to stop too much too late around the corner. Where I don't know, I just have a good rhythm and cadence to like entering against the wall with the right amount of speed where I don't have to like, I'm decelerating obviously, but I'm decelerating in a nice way and getting to my minimum corner speed, I feel like earlier than most, to where I can kind of crack the throttle early and start building that momentum on exit. But yeah, I think, you do have to drive in the corner a long ways. I feel like in turn 3 at Homestead, when I'm behind people anyways, I feel like I drive in, a few car lengths deeper than them, but also get stopped a little sooner than them and then able to, accelerate. And then turn one, I feel like I'm about the only one that runs the wall at that end anymore. Just with the next gen car having a lot more grip, guys can make the shorter entries work for a while, but and I can make it work as well, but I just feel like for the duration of the run, it's better if I'm just against the wall. But turn 1's a much more difficult entry than 3. Like turn 3, you kind of naturally enter pretty high already, where turn 1 is kind of like the Chicago or Darlington into turn 3. Like you've got to kind of swing out left and then come, meet the wall earlier, and it's so long around there that it's challenging because you gotta really commit at that corner. But I don't know, it's fun, feeling like you've got something figured out that the field still has not figured out, and obviously it's a huge advantage of mine there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because with the data that we have and the way we can all kind of look at everything everybody's doing, to be able to still have that advantage is pretty spectacular, because most everybody can kind of look at how you're driving the car, but they just can't go out there and instantly replicate it. You were trying to win all 3 races this past weekend, came up unfortunately a little short on the Saturday race. How important is that feat for you? Is that really truly something that you want to accomplish at some point? Will you try to put together a 3-race weekend again down the road?
Yeah, I'm gonna do Bristol here coming up. But I feel like that'll be tougher than what Homestead was, just because I feel like at Homestead I can really stand out even more so than Bristol. But yeah, I mean it's something that would be obviously really cool to accomplish someday, especially with Kyle Busch being the only one, to do it, and he's done it twice now. So it'd be pretty neat to join him on that and have him not be the only guy to ever do it. But it's tough, and it's much tougher, these days, I feel like, because we just have less opportunity to do it. Back in the day, you could run however much you wanted, and if we were allowed to, I would probably do it more often. But we're pretty limited and all that. But I had a blast this weekend. It was really cool getting to run all 3. Thanks to Spire Motorsports for let me run the truck. Got super lucky, at the end of that thing, but was really fast. And then, yeah, the Xfinity race was a bummer, but fun to get to race with, the 17 group and Adam Wall, who was my engineer back in our, awesome season we had in 2021 in the Cup Series. And then yeah, the Cup race ended well. It was a fight, but to win 2 out of 3, really 3 out of 4. I won a sprint car race in California early in the week, so I guess if I would have won all 3 at Homestead, I would have had something up on Kyle, because I won 4 in a week. But no, it's fine. Hopefully we'll have another opportunity to try and get it done with Bristol coming up. But like I said, it's tough. It's really tough.
Yep.
And that sprint car race, could you feel the heat off your? I've never seen a rotor, like the brakes on a sprint car, glow like they were in that race. Could you feel the heat in the car when you're driving?
I couldn't feel the heat, but I could I could see that my cockpit was glowing. So
I've never seen one glow as much as they were glowing in that race, and they were so much sparks coming off that thing.
yeah.
Like,
So we tried a different brake pad combination, I guess, that night, like a softer pad, and because I went to Australia this winter, and I was like, man, the brakes in the car that I was in there were like way more aggressive, which I think would be a good thing for us to try on a shorter track, or a track you have to slow down like Tulare was. But I wore right through the pads.
you could tell.
Yeah, so yeah, it was tough because I couldn't slow down like I needed to, but it made for cool shots and cool pictures, but made it a bit more challenging behind the wheel.
I want to give you one last opportunity here before we let you go to kind of celebrate High Limit and what you guys have built there. It's incredible, to be honest with you, the series that you've developed and the success that it's had, the announcements here recently with the charters, and just how you guys are able to try to make this more successful and financial for team owners, and just the light you're shining on dirt racing, and also the crowds at all of the events are spectacular. I was fortunate enough to go out and experience one a couple years ago. Wanted to give you a chance to speak on that a little bit, because what you guys are doing is phenomenal.
Yeah, thanks. No, and thanks for giving a moment to kind of highlight it, because it is something that we're all really proud of, for sure. Just this, we're going into our second full-time season as a national tour, and what I feel like have accomplished to this point has been great. The racing on track's been awesome. As you mentioned, the crowds have been good. The broadcasts have been great. But, most importantly, I feel like here lately, we were finally able to kind of piece together which we're calling it a franchise system now. But yeah, just trying to grow the sport, turn it into less of a hobby for these team owners, and, more something that they could make some substantial money and not lose money every year. So, yeah, I'm just proud of the whole High Limit team. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a lot of hours on the road, too, while you're doing all of it. So, I look forward to the future. I think, we continue to grow. Our viewership numbers are, number one in sprint car racing. So that's something to be proud of as well in such a short time. So, but it takes a huge group of, team of people between Flow Racing and High Limit and everybody involved. So it's fun. It's really, like I said, it's really rewarding to see the hard work paying off. So super proud of everybody there.
Yeah, we're thankful for it. I think it shows everybody, whether you're in dirt or in pavement, that there's ways to make this a success, and it's a great example you're setting for other series. So we appreciate your time today. We kept you a little bit longer than we should have. Thank you for giving us a minute to talk to you today. Congratulations on the win, and take it easy, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
You bet.
See you, man.
Ask Junior is brought to you by Xfinity Mobile. And we're thankful for Xfinity and Xfinity Mobile for supporting us here at the Dale Jr. Download and everything we do. NASCAR fans, now you get the speed you need on and off the track with Xfinity Mobile. Xfinity Mobile customers now have access to Wi-Fi speeds of up to 1 gig in millions of locations across the country. And with its nationwide coverage, you know that it'll always come through in a clutch. No racing pun intended.
No racing pun.
It comes through for you in a clutch. Take NASCAR on the go with NASCAR Mobile. Xfinity, proud premier partner of NASCAR. Now, in the closing read, there's tons of racing puns, so stay tuned for those. Yeah. So it's Amy's birthday. Happy birthday.
Birthday, Amy.
Yay.
38, right? 28?
Let's not even go there, buddy. He's just dangerous.
That's very dangerous.
It is. We talked to Kyle Larson a little bit. We talked to Ron Capps today. We talked about the race. We talked about the Cars Tour going to Wake County this weekend. Tune into Flow Saturday night after you get done watching the Xfinity race from Martinsville. We're going to do some Dirty Modo here today and see what the best bets are coming up on Martinsville. So it should be a lot of fun. I know there's a lot of people out there saying they miss Dirty Modo.
Yeah, it's just in a different place now.
It is.
A little shorter, but
it is.
You made it sound like it died. Oh, it's in
well,
a
that's no
better
people
place.
think that people are mourning it.
Yeah. They missed the Dirty Modo podcast with Steve Letarte, and it was an awesome podcast. Now it does live in a much shorter, briefer form inside of this Tuesday show on Dirty Air. And I'll be honest, I'll say it. I am not entirely it has not reached its potential. With how it lives inside of this show, I still see more for Dirty Modo. So for those out there that still love it, I think it's going to be.
We're growing.
We're growing it, and it's finding its legs. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Anyways, Andrew's here. We got some great questions, I assume, for Ask Junior today. Yeah.
Lots of good ones. This first one is from Speedy Pete on Twitter. And he was listening to the Tony Gibson episode and wants to know who the hell is Two Beer.
Two Beer is Kevin
man.
Pinnell. Kevin Pinnell is Tony Jr.'s brother-in-law.
Okay.
From Tony Jr.'s first marriage. So Tony Jr. married Kevin's wife, or Kevin's sister, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I got that wrong.
Whoa.
Tony Jr. married, stop it.
You said it,
I'm
not
old.
us.
I'm old. All right. I'm old.
It's Monday.
Guys. And it's Monday. I had it spinning.
It's Tuesday.
I had to.
Actually.
He didn't even pick up on that joke.
It's Tuesday. It is Tuesday.
Yes.
See, I'm all messed up. I'm in bad shape. All right. So I got a lot going on. Pretty busy. But
Celebrate Amy's birthday tomorrow.
tomorrow. Anyway. So
Go.
Tony Jr. married Kevin's sister, and Kevin was part of the old original AC Delco Xfinity team all the way up until he was with, Tony Gibson when they won the Daytona 500 with Kurt Busch. So he was with that team for all of that same team for all
Long
those
time.
years. Yeah. And the reason why they call him Two Beers because he'd get drunk on 2 beers.
Sounds like
He
Sounds
definitely,
like my guy.
He definitely built up a tolerance, but they give him a hard time of how he was because Tony Jr., Tony Sr., and that crew, when they would go to the racetracks back in the AC Delco days, they go into the hotel bar and drink some beer on Friday night. Mm-hmm. They did that on Thursday night, Friday night. That was what they did. They'd go eat dinner, and they'd go in the hotel bar, drink beer, and laugh and hoot and holler. And so Kevin had to fall in line, and have some beers, and he'd get too drunk after 2 beers. So they call him Two Beer.
he sounded. I mean, at least the story Tony told was wild. Like, he basically wanted to run away with a confiscated part. So, like, was that his personality?
He's short in stature, but strong and tough.
He was Jackman for a little bit, wasn't
And I don't know. Can't remember that. But he was. I ran over him, I think. So when we come down, I think he's the one I ran over.
Really?
So in 1998, my first pit stop, Daytona 300 or whatever, in the Xfinity Series, I think Kevin's the one I hit. He ran out there, and he came out there too soon. And I was sliding through the pit. So I was overshooting the pit, and he was like,
I'm here.
hey, whoa, I got nowhere to go but up on the hood of this car. So there's a picture of him flying through the air, Jack flying, him flying.
he? Yeah. I
Luckily,
remember
he
that.
was fine. And then there is this really clip that this paints me in a bad light, I will say.
Okay.
I know that's hard to believe. But we're racing at Sonoma, which I wasn't a big fan of. I'm out there struggling my ass off trying to road course race. And so I wasn't very good at it. Kevin broke his hand during a pit stop. And so I'm out there wrestling around with his car, and I said something on the radio, and Tony Jr. didn't respond. I said, hey, answer that question I just asked you. And Tony Jr.'s like, hold up, we got somebody in the pits here with a broke hand. And I was like, who? Broke hand? And he goes, yep, Two Beer broke his hand. And I was like, well, tell him to walk it off. Like, you can't walk off with a broken hand. But that I was being a smart ass. Of course, Kevin's like family. That whole crew's like family, but Kevin more so because he is family with Tony Jr., who is my family. Mm-hmm. And so we all were very close. People might have heard that And I still see it on YouTube or clips today where people play it, and people might go, "Wow, what a," but we were that close, right? That we could talk that much to each other. But anyhow,
what's the conversation like after you hit somebody on pit road? I mean, you have to like drive away,
Yeah.
because like
It
you're still in a
depends.
race. But like is that an awkward conversation?
well,
Sorry, I hit you with my race car.
Well, it depends. In that situation, I was in over my head. I was a rookie, had never performed a pit stop before. I'm coming down pit road, and I've been out on the track going 180 miles an hour, and now I come down pit road, and I think I'm going slow enough, but I'm probably, instead of going like 20 miles an hour, I'm probably going 75 miles an hour, right? And so I get to the pit stall to stop the car, and it just locks up the tires. It's just, it just locks all the tires up because they're hard as a rock at Daytona. And I slide right through the pit. And he had committed to coming out there. Now, if I get into the box, he doesn't get hit. But I'm coming through the box. And he had nowhere to go. And so that was just a bad deal. But he was unhurt, which was, so then it was easy to move on. Now, you run over somebody. I've clipped people that have had their legs out, like in the stall in front of me. Like a guy,
like other
a jackman
crew
or
members.
somebody with his leg way out there, and you'll clip him, and you're like, that's a dangerous thing because you could lacerate their Achilles or whatever, and you're thinking, dang, I hope that person's okay. I feel bad about that because that was just an unfortunate situation, and that's not my crew guy. I don't know him, and I don't know how this is gonna. So that's tougher, I think.
Yeah.
And when you're older and a veteran and do something that that you shouldn't do, and it hurts somebody, that sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. This next question is for TJ, and we actually got a $5 donation to the YouTube chat. So TJ,
I
making
appreciate
us
it.
some money.
Yep, you're welcome.
Lunch is on him. It's from Derek, and he wants to know what's the best advice on how to get into spotting, how to start as a spotter.
Oh boy. Local short tracks, probably. Cars Tour, anything local, things like that. Even I've seen guys start on iRacing now. There's guys that actually spot on iRacing, and you can. I've been asked to spot on iRacing at times, but I think getting, going to your local short track, making friends with some of them guys, waiting for your opportunity. And then when you get your opportunity, just being ready for it, because I didn't plan on being a spotter, and I got asked to go, and apparently I was good at it. So,
what's a piece of advice you wish you were given that you would give?
If I could give advice to somebody, I would say when you're spotting, try to think ahead and describe the scenario as best you can. So the guy, just like you're driving, you don't want them to look in the mirror. So you want them to have the info, like when he was driving or with Brad. I don't want them to look. So if I can give them the info where they're not looking, I feel like I'm doing my job.
Yeah. If I'm not looking in the mirror, I can focus on what's in front of me. So I'm hoping everything he's telling me is just painting the picture behind me. So I don't even I trust it, right? What was your first race where you spotted TJ?
I think the first race that I spotted was at Kansas for Joe Nemechek. The main spotter had an issue and couldn't make the race.
I thought it was
on Sunday.
Dover for Matt Kenseth.
No, that was later. That was when I was trying to maybe go to his full-time deal.
That's right.
But that lasted about 2 laps before he wrecked.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I did Kansas for Joe Nemechek, and then I got asked to go and do all Boris Says races when he started. And then Matt Spotter was moving on to somebody else, which was Mike Kalanoff at the time, and they were doing some trial stuff, and I had Matt's Xfinity race at Dover, and he got loose off of turn 2 in racing with Paul Menard, and we crashed on the backstretch, and it lasted like 2 laps, so that didn't go over very well.
I remember it differently.
Oh, the beginning. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we still wrecked on it. That was his fault, so that wasn't my fault.
My big takeaway was when the green flag came out, TJ said green, the word green.
No, it was ready.
Ready? Oh, you said ready?
Yeah.
Like 8 times.
Probably.
Ready.
I was ready.
Ready. So he started his ready.
Yeah, probably too
thinking
early.
that the green flag was going to come out after like 2 or 3 readies, but he started it too early. And so they're like creeping on around the track, and TJ just kept saying it. Ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Ready.
Ready?
You can't.
Ready?
You can't.
I just
can't
wanted to
stop.
make sure that Matt was ready. I wanted to make sure Matt was ready.
And then the green flag comes out.
Matt stopped me one time in Daytona when
Did
he was
smart? He say, "Ready? Ready?
No,
Ready?
I looked at him and said, "Hey man, you ready?" No, but we were joking about that race, but he's like, "We should try it again sometime," and I'm like, "Yeah, it'd be cool. Maybe I could redeem myself."
Yeah.
Was he ready?
I was nervous for TJ.
I wasn't. I mean, apparently I was nervous,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Maybe I was. I mean, of course I was.
It sounded like you were ready for it.
I was definitely ready for
Yeah.
2 laps.
The next question comes from the YouTube chat. Pamela wants to know, how was bussing with the boys?
Bussing with the boys was a lot of fun. So I went and did the podcast for those guys this past week. We did 3 hours.
Whew.
We talked about racing and all kinds of fun things. We did talk about one thing that I was like, oh man, because there's a lot of things that we do on Bless Your Heart where I get up and I go, man, that might have been over the line. And I'll ask Amy, and I was asking her even a couple days ago, do you think that was too far? Like, should we are we saying too much? And so that's the tough part about doing those kind of lifestyle shows is it's about life. It's about real stuff, right? And you're kind of it's kind of you get nervous that you're being too transparent about things. But hey, it's real life. Mm-hmm. And so we were on Bussing with the Boys, and they asked me if I ever my pants while I was in the race car. And I was like, no, I've never done that, thankfully, right? But I know people that have done it. And I said, I think the reason why that's never happened to me is because if you can work a fart around your poo, does that make sense? And like relieve some pressure,
Sure.
It buys you a little time.
Yeah, I understand.
Have you ever drove home and you're like, I gotta go so bad, I'm not gonna make it?
But
this is quickly
you buy
turning into one of them
yourself
moments.
An extra 5
yeah, you buy
minutes.
yourself a little time if you can expel some pressure, right?
Sure,
Right?
yeah.
And it takes it. Some people can't do that, and they just
Their pants.
poop in their pants, and I don't. I get home.
You know those
I make it
moments
to
you
the
were just
bathroom.
talking about? We are definitely in one of them
And so
moments.
so we had this conversation on their show, and I got up and I was like, and we had that conversation at like the 30-minute mark of a 3-hour podcast. I got up from the podcast and I was like, we talked about more than I thought we would.
I'm actually surprised you never did.
We talked about more than I expected today. And so, I mean, you get up and you're like, it's in the can. There's nothing you can do about it. And so it is what it is.
I'm surprised you never have. On
My pants.
yeah, during the race.
Yeah.
Or at all.
Ship my pants.
Yeah,
Should I say that instead? Because
I
you
don't
probably
know.
can't
The
say.
ship's already sailed on
the
YouTube.
ship's already
The ship's
sailed.
already
Ship's already
sailed.
set, yeah.
Literally.
I'm
surprised though.
I never have. Like I have had times where I'm driving home from work or from Charlotte or somewhere, and I'm like, dang man, I got to get home.
Yeah.
Even flying home a couple times, you're like, I gotta go.
Yeah, like it's like I got to go. The clock's ticking. And luckily that's never happened in the race car. Golly. I mean, because when you got to pee, listen, if you have to pee in the car, there is this moment where you're like, can I hold it? Like, could I get to the end of the race? And it's a distraction, terrible distraction, right? If you're trying to focus on something and do a task, doing it while you're trying, you literally are trying to, hold back when you got to pee, you got to go.
Bodily function.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
And
think
so
at the end he was pretty comfortable with that part.
It's a big distraction.
Could you pee under a green flag?
Yeah, sometimes.
That went from a no to yeah.
What track?
TJ, could you?
The longer the straightaway, the better.
Oh man, he used to tell Adam Jordan on the radio, "I'm sorry, Adam."
Yeah.
Like, it was pretty common.
Yeah, it was not common. It happened once a year, maybe once or twice a year.
I remember it
Let's
differently.
Ask Adam. I don't think it happened more often than that. But we would get into these hot races, and if it's 90 degrees outside, or if you're forecasted for a 90-degree day, you see that on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you're like get nervous, and you're like, it's hot. It's gonna be 140 degrees inside the car. It's miserable. It is really uncomfortable. And so that morning you're drinking a lot of water, because I've dehydrated inside the car before. and you get delirious, you get dizzy.
Yeah, you don't want that
You
either.
can't.
Yeah, it's not
you
safe.
It's very scary. I had that happen to me at Myrtle Beach one time, and so, you just all of a sudden you dry out, and it's the weirdest thing. But so you're drinking a lot of water before the race, and shoot, man, you're down on pit road. They're saying the anthem, and you got to get in, and you're like, I gotta pee, and there's no porta johns or nothing, and you get in, and you're like, now I got 3.5 hours of either trying to hold this thing or I'm going to pee in this seat, and so, it's not a big deal. You're racing. It doesn't, it's not like it's going to stink a whole lot or anything like that. It's water. You pee pretty clear. And so, if you can't hold it, you can't hold it. You go, you apologize to your interior guy. He's the one that's got to pull the insert out on Monday morning. And he's the one that's got to clean all that mess up. But
Would you try to eat the same thing on before a race to try to get your body?
I always tried to not eat anything that might make me sick. So no chicken.
Oh, really? No chicken?
no
Yeah.
Mexican.
Oh,
Like grilled
because,
chicken, undercooked,
Right,
is a recipe for freaking
No,
disaster.
Travis, that's not. You don't
I
probably
would
ever
think
do
chicken
that.
would be like a good race day
It's
meal.
too risky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
he's over there like Mexican
no,
food.
no, I said no Mexican food.
Yeah, like that's a given.
No-
Nobody's
what
going
would
to be
you eat?
eating Mexican before a
That's a
race.
given.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. No chili. What else, Travis?
No
So,
spicy hot
yeah.
wings.
yeah.
God.
No
Blazing.
no ghost pepper sauce.
Yeah, yeah.
Wasabi.
Yeah. So typically I would eat a very basic ham sandwich. You had to have a little bread. That's energy. That's going to get down in there and keep your belly kind of feeling somewhat full. And so I didn't have chews in the car. You see drivers like eating on the snack during the race. I'm like, what the hell you doing? That's not even making a damn bit of difference.
I don't know.
No.
I feel like it could.
Yeah.
No. Man,
It's
come on.
calories going
dude,
in, man.
If you are that's overkill.
So what would you rather?
Really?
Yes, I could look at. If you're running a marathon, a triathlete, or riding a bike up a mountain, right? That's 40 miles, 100 miles. Yes, if you need to carry some food, that little bit of protein can get you to the finish line. Nobody needs food in the car during a race. It's not that serious.
But you said chews. So what if instead of drinking lots of liquids to stay hydrated, they just pop some chews that can keep them hydrated?
I don't see how you get hydrated
Travis,
from a chew.
you and your points you're so
They are.
close.
By the way,
you're talking about staying hydrated.
You're ticky tacky.
to your point, you were right.
Yeah.
You were right. Adam said it was only twice.
Did he?
He did.
All
Yeah,
right,
he said he had
thanks,
to make
DJ.
sure orange Gatorade was on hand.
Yeah, oh, that's the other thing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
This is
want
the
to
good
ruin
part.
This story before.
I don't want to ruin all of the stuff from the Bussin' with the Boys, but I did tell them that sometimes you do pee in the car, and I would be embarrassed because I always had
Yeah.
white suits, and so I would pull down pit road and be like, "Well, shoot, now I got to get out," and it's gonna. I don't know what it looks like, but I would assume my mind goes, "Well, you're gonna look at me and you're gonna go, oh, he damn peed his pants. It's obvious, right? His white suit is now yellow right in that region." And so I would say, as the checker flag would come out, and I'd go, "Hey, can somebody get some orange Gatorade to the car?"
Code.
And they would bring they would bring orange Gatorade, and I would kind of splash that around and blend in the colors. So the whole suit had a little stain or a little hint or a tint. And I'm like, all right, I'm coming out. And I probably was overthinking it, but I didn't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah. Imagine if you yourself, you'd be asking for like Nutella.
Dude, if you pooped yourself, I'm
Oh.
driving the race car right to the damn bus.
Yeah.
And I'm like right up to the door. I'm like,
backing up.
Yeah.
You're backing in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the hauler.
yes, ain't gonna see that. Ain't nobody gonna see that.
No Gatorades covering
You'd
that.
never live that down. That would just be the worst situation. Well, I'm glad.
Man, I don't think I pooped, but
Oh boy.
no. I won the race at Richmond. It's in the driver 8 book. I think I peed. I won the race at Richmond, and I pull in, and I think I realized, oh my gosh, I got to pee something serious. And So I pull into victory lane. Like you pull into victory lane, as soon as the car pulls in there, like the team, everybody's like, ooh, yeah, it's excitement. Yeah, everybody's cheering. And they're waiting on you to climb out. TV's like, stay in there. We're getting ready to come back from commercial. Stay in there. And then when they come back from commercial, they're going to go, all right, come on out. And then out you come, and they catch you on camera right as they're coming back from break, right? It's all set up.
Mm-hmm.
And I pull in there, and they're like, all right, stay in there. I climbed out, walked out of the victory lane. Everybody's like, where's he going? Out of victory lane I went over to the Unical 76 building, was right next door where everybody get their gas. Walked in there and took a leak.
Nice. Okay,
And I mean, I'm in there. I pee for 5 minutes or whatever, and then I come back. I come back out, walk back into victory lane, hop back in the car.
It did the whole shit.
Yes.
Yeah. No one knew.
They were like, "What is up?" I'm like, "I had to pee."
Gotta go.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Oh, I had to go.
I'm glad you. I guess making it full circle. I'm glad you can trust the fart.
Yeah,
I can't learn that the hard way.
I can. I know. I know when
When you're close.
it's not a fart. I know. Yeah.
So you have to have that trait.
Got a good trait.
Yes. Yeah.
Got that extra quality.
Is that we got time for one
We
more
got
question?
time for one more.
Okay. Ooh, I want to find a good one then.
You're supposed to have these ready.
The good
Oh,
one's
no, I
supposed
mean,
to be at the top.
I got a whole list of.
Yeah.
Well,
of
where's
You
the-
want to find a good one out of all of the great ones that you
That's
have
right.
in your. Okay.
Yeah, I thought the
That's
list
right.
was the good ones.
That'd
That'd be
let's
too
see.
hard to do.
What?
This could be bad.
This one's coming from Johnny. What is your voicemail?
What?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
You
You
should
don't
call
know?
it. I have
You
no
want me to
clue.
call- You want me to call?
It's stock. Pretty boring.
Yeah.
Sorry. I guess can be glad that it doesn't say Riach. Remember the
Yeah,
one
yes,
Mike
yes,
Davis had where
yes.
it's like, you can Riach me.
When's the last time you left a voicemail though?
Me?
Anybody like
I probably left one last week.
You know what that reminded me of? Remember
It's been a while.
you just send a text?
our buddy
I know.
D. Neal used to do one where he answered his voicemail like he answered the phone, and you would
Oh my
start talking
God,
to it.
it drove
and
me
you're
crazy.
Like, oh,
Hello?
He'd be
God,
like, hey,
that was annoying.
Hello?
hello?
Be like, hello, what's
Hey,
up?
man. We call this guy every day, and it still got you. It was so real. He was so good at faking it. It got you every day. He'd be like, "Hey, what's up?" He answered the phone the same way,
Yes.
right? So you thought every time it was him.
hello, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
What?
It
It's like,
burned you
oh.
up, man. It's like, "Arr."
Are you gonna?
And then
record?
he would chuckle and say, "Ha, I got you. Leave your message."
That's such a bad feeling.
Yeah.
was pretty good.
I remember when we used to do our own voicemails. Remember those days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a big deal.
Did you
You'd do
ever
a few takes?
Now
like,
nobody
get
does
it
it.
down.
I think everybody's a stock these days.
did you ever hold your phone up to a speaker and record like some music into it? That's what some people did.
Oh no. No, I never thought to do it that way.
I didn't either.
Let's bring that back.
You remember
Bring
used
back
to
to
remember
voicemails.
remember when we used to text each other words on our pagers?
What's a
Oh
pager?
yeah, you use the numbers.
Yes,
Yes.
numbers would
Yeah.
spell words when you turn it upside
Like
down.
oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
800
Five, 8, 5.
five. Yeah. That was my favorite number.
You never
Hell.
had. There's
Well,
no way you
I
had
was
a
thinking about
pager.
the word hell. Not,
Oh.
Yeah.
I was too.
all right. That was a lot of fun. Some great questions today. Hope everybody enjoyed tuning in. Appreciate everybody, checking us out. Everybody having fun in the group chat there. Anyways, thank you.
Wish Amy happy birthday.
Oh, that's right. Wishing Amy a happy birthday. If you haven't yet, go to my Instagram. Tag Amy. Make sure you tag her. I also put it in my story. You can tag her there. Add it to your story. Whatever. Bye, Lisa. Lisa says bye. Aaron says thanks. Appreciate everybody. We have a lot of fun here. I love this part of the show. I enjoy seeing everybody joining us and talking and adding their funny quirks and comments on our live chat.
Yeah.
It really does make my day. It's the best part of the show. Thank you, Xfinity Mobile, for supporting us here. Here's all the racing puns, everybody. Xfinity Mobile customers get exclusive access to the most powerful Wi-Fi network on the go with speeds up to a gig. NASCAR fans, that means fast downloads for turn-by-turn action, smooth live stream with fewer pit stops, and a strong connection for the from the parking lot to the grandstands. So for more laps and less lag, stay connected with Xfinity Mobile. We appreciate y'all. Thank you, Xfinity Mobile. Thank y'all for tuning in, and enjoy the show later today when we get it out to you. Hey, everybody, you want the latest Dale Jr. download apparel? Visit shop.dirtymomedia.com. We're always adding new stuff all the time, especially like when we say something silly on this show. We'll put it on a t-shirt. Again, check it out at shop.dirtymomedia.com. All right, so joining us today on the Dale Jr. Download, Ron Capps. I want to first ask Ron, thanks for joining us today. Also, how are you feeling after your spectacular crash?
This is what I got to do to get on your show. Jeez. No, I'm sore. We drove the coach back. Raced in Phoenix. I live near San Diego, so family and I drove back. We're home for a couple days and drive up about an hour and a half north to Pomona this coming weekend. So pretty sore. I was actually going to reach out to you at some point and just kind of talk to you. Forrest came over and had a pretty good talk with me about his injuries and just. But so far, so good, man. Nothing broken, and just kind of seeing what happens next.
Man, I know that you've been in some scary situations in the past, but the interview that you gave after the accident was just so honest. And a lot of race car drivers, I think it's probably your age where you're like, hey, it doesn't matter. I am who I am at this point. But a lot of race car drivers are hesitant to be that transparent. And you're like, man, I mean, you basically said everything except for seeing Elvis in those moments. But that's what we always used to say is like, I think I saw Elvis at one point. But, apparently just I could tell it got your attention. That was quite an experience.
Yeah. They had the visor cam that they've had on my car with Napa Auto Parts this year, and I guess it's good and bad. Got to relive it, and the fans got to see it until it went away. But just things happen so fast, and I'm not sure I should have done an interview. I don't remember much about talking. I do remember when it happened that once the body left and the fire was on my face, and then I knew I didn't have control. I mean, I was the next car in line when Forrest wrecked last year, so I saw all of that, and then we had to back up and get out of the cars for a couple hours. I just knew, man, it's going. I'm at a high rate of speed. We go 290-ish at half track. And I knew I was past that, and I just was like, I'm not sure I'm going to be awake after this hit.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hard one. And then it hit, and I was like, whoa, I'm still awake. And I got on we have a handbrake, so I was on the handbrake. And the safety safari was on me before the car was stopped. And so, yeah, a lot going on. Just funny how it kind of, how it is. It just kind of comes out slowly out of your brain that few seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching it, and I don't know that there's a great way to hit a wall, but the car seemed to really, really absorb a lot of the impact. I know, they're really not designed to take a beating like that, but I feel like that you've got a lot of new safety advances that have happened over the past several years, particularly around your headrests and so forth. But the way the car sort of absorbed a bunch of the impact, and then how much y'all changed with your seats and so forth, that had to really have given you the best outcome possible.
Yeah, I've jumped around with the Prelude and jumped in other cars a lot, dirt cars, and sometimes you go, what am I doing in here,
Yeah.
But like you said, when we lost Eric Medlin, who was driving for Force, and then that's really when things took off. And I think watching what you guys were doing in your sport around your head and injuries that drivers like yourself went through, if you don't learn from it, that's a pity. But I think over the years we've lost these drivers or bad accidents. And Eric's wreck saved Force's life in that bad wreck he had in Dallas. And then that wreck certainly saved his life again when he had his wreck. And I guarantee whatever was going to happen to me was spared because of what happened to Force last year. So our guys, my crew chief, Guido, that's his nickname, he's very much on the safety. He's one of those crew chiefs that not just looks after the performance of the car, but he's always after the safety in the cockpit. And yeah, we just just the last year and a half, I mean, more work on the padding and around here, and the softer padding leading into the harder padding, and just focusing on on brains and what could happen. And like you said, we don't have safer walls, and I don't think I know fans are up in the air about that. And I read the social media, and I don't think they understand that it's probably better that we careen off the wall rather than catching something at that speed.
Yeah, that's a good point. You did allude after in the interview to something that I was curious. You talked about the car and how big of a setback this is to the team. So can you go into detail there and let us know? Because I think it adds a real human element to this, right? I mean, outside of your safety and you surviving the accident, there's another entire department or compartment to this, and that's the effect that it has on your team. And it's a very successful team, a very iconic team. Your name is synonymous with drag racing, and you kind of opened up in that moment to us how concerning this is, and how big of a setback and how expensive this moment is. I think that might be hard for people to realize too, because I do that as well. We race cars. We race them at a high danger speed. We get in a big bad crash. The first thing we do is get out and go, how good's our other car? Or, when can we get back onto the racetrack? And so a lot of people would, that don't experience these things within their lives would be thrilled to be safe and alive and uninjured. And once you get beyond that, once your mind got beyond that, you went right to the financial repercussions. So kind of, I guess, walk us through really how difficult that path forward is.
I got the chance to be an owner, 3 years ago, and thankfully Napa Auto Parts jumped on board. And we have a great budget. We got great partners. But again, before I hit the wall, one of the first things that's flashing in my head was like, oh, this car is, it's not very old. They're probably $250,000 the way they sit at the starting line. So, it's funny how all these years of driving for Don Perdome and then Don Schumacher, you like you said, you have a wreck and you hop out and you're a paid driver and on to the next car. But now I'm a business owner, a small business owner, and it's funny how that just you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to affect the budget.
Yeah.
But I got calls right away from the higher ups there at Napa. I mean, what can we do to help? If there's anything else, you got contracts and you got what you got.
Yeah.
And I'm learning. The cool thing is Don Perdome has checked on me, daily, even before this weekend. He calls or texts, and he understands the business side, and it's fun to watch him as a retiree, but knows what goes on behind the scenes, not just as a driver, but a legendary owner. And so, I always got stuff to bounce off of him, but he called right away, and that was the first thing he said was, boy, that's going to hurt the budget. So, I just good. Luckily, we've got another car ready to go. We actually got two cars, so I'm pretty proud of our team to have that, thinking that far ahead to be ready to go. And I guess that's why we won 2 championships back to back. As an owner, it helps.
Yeah. Well, we're thankful you're in one piece and ready to get it back after it. We're thankful to have some time to chat with you today. You're, like I said, you're an icon in drag racing and motorsports. Not a bad sim racer, and we miss having you out there on the iRacing rig. But we're thankful to be able to talk to you today and wish you the best going forward, buddy.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
You bet. All right, it's time for this month's selection of our Ultimate Racing Collector presented by Lionel Racing, the official diecast of NASCAR. Lionel Racing is your go-to source for all of your racing diecast needs. Check out their latest pre-orders at lionelracing.com. And let's take a look at this here collection from Donna Lee Fuller. Got a lot of Dale Earnhardt stuff here in the corner.
What's missing in this, too, the video is got some nice hard rock and roll music going.
Oh, okay.
I mean, look at this is a room of
Earnhardt. And it's a lot of different stuff.
It is.
Wheaties box.
Yeah, a lot of different types of collectibles. So a lot of old hats.
Yeah.
So you're not just pure diecast, but a little bit of everything here.
Looks like she got some hand portraits.
Yep. She's loving those custom drapes. And
Was that a jar full of peanuts?
It looked like there was a jar full of
Popcorn or
popcorn
peanuts
in the bottom.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's circle back. Yep, there's a big jug of popcorn or peanuts.
Wonder if that popcorn's still good. I mean, she has a slot machine.
This is quite the collection.
It doesn't end.
It doesn't.
Oh, she sent us like 3 videos.
Oh.
3 videos.
Wow.
Well, it's it's apparent that she's absolutely a massive fan, and
Whoa.
look, even the slot machine.
Look at the die cast in there.
That slot machine's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Those probably are hard to come by, like a genuine slot machine. I've got 2 of them. Neither one work.
What's it like when you see someone with a room dedicated like this?
I appreciate the she's got that Lionel case that we all love. Holds 40 die casts. I've got 4 of those. I like the fact that it's the variety. That's real commitment. Somebody that's
Oh, what's in there? Is that an RC car?
it
Looks like an RC car. or something.
There's a there's a lot of fans like myself that are purely die-cast collectors and get a little bit of everything, but we have a particular driver that we like. Then you'll have fans that are like our friend Donna here, that are purely dedicated to one individual driver, and they get everything that comes off the shelf. Tons of photos and images, and looks like there's a bunch of tickets right there to all
that's
the
pretty
races
cool.
she went. That's a really neat way to showcase all the events and tickets that you went to.
I miss it. You don't get hard tickets anymore.
Yeah. So very cool. Donna Lee Fuller is the winner this month, deservedly so. Now look, guys, we can't pick just Earnhardt fans every month. All right, let's not be biased here.
We're not.
Well, you're gonna have some folks go, "Hey, wait a minute, I ain't got a shot in hell because Donna wins with her big Earnhardt collection."
It's not always going to be.
Donna comes trampsing in here with her Earnhardt stuff and just wipes us
But
out.
that's pretty good, though. Donna's
Yeah.
got a lot of stuff.
The guy that's got 10,000 Blaney die casts doesn't think so. So, anyways,
We got more to give out.
all right,
Winners
we
to
will.
name.
Yeah, don't forget if you don't win this month, you can try again next month.
We'll post again next month, and we'll let you. People can respond to that post on Facebook and Twitter with photos and videos.
All right. You know that feeling you get when you're watching drivers fight it out on the racetrack, giving it everything they've got for the checker flag? Well, you can capture that feeling forever with cars from Lionel Racing, the official diecast of NASCAR. The ultimate way to celebrate the biggest moments in racing. These diecasts aren't toys, they're authentic, high-quality replicas of your favorite rides from the sport's biggest stars, including myself and the guys on my race team. Whether you're a longtime collector or a fan who's new to the sport, Lionel Racing diecasts bring the heart of racing to your shelf or man cave with incredible detail. They're built with precision, with all the exact decals, logos, and paint schemes you've seen on the actual cars. And trust me, these cars make you feel like you're right there in the middle of it. So head to LionelRacing.com, your favorite racing team shop, or any authorized retailer, and start building your collection today. And don't forget, you can find a wide selection of diecasts at the Lionel stores in Concord Mills near Charlotte Motor Speedway and Opry Mills in Nashville. All right, it's time for Dirty Modo. Stepping into the booth is Tampa Tim's. Dirty Modo is brought to you by FanDuel. I have an account. Amy's got an account. I'm trying to get Amy to throw down a bet. We got the NCAA men's March Madness tournament going on. We're now getting into the tougher rounds. We're trying to make a little easy money. It's a little tough to do.
Sweet
at
16.
Tampa Tim's. It's tough.
It's going to be tough.
Me and you, and I'm not sure who else, have one particular bet up on the board.
Yes, we do. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's a risky one, but let's look at it. I'll get it up here in a second.
I saw a tweet, Dale, that your betting style that you adopted late in the basketball season, a lot of people have, and Vegas kind of got hit hard this past weekend because of the money line parlays.
Yeah.
That you started.
Oh, I started.
Well,
Well-
at least in this group, I gave you crap for at the beginning, so I'm now giving you your flowers.
This is around a plus 3,900 ish parlay. We got Florida taking over Maryland on money line, Duke money line over Arizona, Houston money line over Purdue, and this is where it gets a little tricky, guys. I'm gonna take Ole Miss over Michigan State. That's a tough one.
Tough one.
That's gonna be a sweater.
Nervous
Yes.
about that.
Kentucky over Tennessee. I think it's doable.
I think it's doable.
Kentucky already has beaten Tennessee twice this year. Can they do
Yeah.
it 3 times?
That's hard to do.
And then we watched this Arkansas team. I think Arkansas can beat Texas Tech.
Yeah,
I agree.
We saw them play, man. They got some ballers. The Ole Miss is the tough one, but we'll see how that pans out. And I got 1 unit on that, but that's really all I got in the hopper right now. So when there were games every day, the style that you mentioned, we would take the heavy favorites and parlay 7 to 15 of those. Those games are gone.
Nope, they're gone.
All right. And where in the calendar year is another opportunity to get back into some of that type of action? And you just kind of got to wait it out.
College football.
Yeah.
I've been doing that a little bit with NBA.
Yeah.
Like 2 and 3 games.
Yeah. I was thinking, I teed up a bet last night where it would have been pretty much similar, where you'll take like you'll take a particular player that's averaging like 20, 23 points and bet him to make 10, and then stack that through about 5 or 6 games. But I'm telling you, dude, I got burned on the NBA last year, and it's hard for me. It's hard for me.
You just don't know if they're going to be trying that night.
Yes, it's so hard.
Load management.
Yep, it is tough. So, but like Anthony Davis for the Mavs last night was playing. I don't know what he scored. What did Anthony get? He was going to be in that parlay for 10 points. And maybe I should have done it, but dang it. It was going to take about 10 to 15 different legs, and I just don't trust it.
No.
He had 12 points.
So he would have barely cleared that.
Oh boy.
So, but that might be what I end up having to get into just to have a little fun as we wait out, the next real opportunity to be stacking these heavy favorites. And it's going to be probably a college sports, and we just kind of got to look at the calendar year and see what's in front of us, because you can't really do this in the MLB.
No.
You can't really do it in any professional type of sport, but still some great options out there. And one of them is in the NASCAR world. I saw you at Tampa Tim's. You won. What bet did you win?
I had AJ Allmendinger
That's
top
it.
10, and they gave it like plus 195. Couldn't believe it. They also had him head to head over Ty Gibbs. I won that
That's
too.
the one I saw.
And I was like, and he was the underdog.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is he the underdog?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that was an easy lock. And I got Bubba Wallace at even money plus 100 for a top 10, and he was the fastest car all weekend. It felt like in practice and qualifying.
Wow, Blaney.
Unreal.
Until Blaney, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Well, those are my kind of bets.
Yep.
Those are my kind of bets right there. Tampa Tim's leading into Martinsville. This is a track where the Cup guys play nice. If you're trying to put any money on the Trucks or Xfinity, it's all going to hell.
Yep.
In the last 10 laps.
Yeah.
It's a crapshoot. But the Cup boys play nice. There's a little more predictability. Who's some of your heavy favorites?
Well, the win odds right now, the books are absolutely hedging themselves against the Blaneys, the Larsons, the Denny's. There's 7 guys within plus 1,000. So that's really not where I want to go. But there's some really good short track racers that are plus 3,000 right now. There's our guy, we talked about him like 3 weeks in a row now, Josh Berry.
Yeah.
And Ryan Preece is the guy I really like, and I'll probably place a little something on that.
That's 2
plus
top 10s in
3,000.
a row for Preece.
Yeah, and I think Brad's been really good there. TJ, like, hasn't been the start you guys have wanted, but I think he's like he's got some good odds too. I think
This
RFK
race,
in general.
one thing you got to be careful with this race is it is shorter than the fall race.
Is it
so
really?
It's 400, I think, this race.
Oh, okay. Didn't
And the
know.
fall's 500, so there isn't as many long runs, so it matters a little bit.
yeah.
Who's some drivers that TJ you'd say like pay attention to?
I mean, to me, seeing the role, like Tim said, that Blaney's on, Barry, taking that knowledge because they're visibly watching Martinsville from the spotter stand now. Nobody runs the curb right now like Ryan Blaney. But if you take a guy with a short track background like Josh Berry, who has a lot of laps already and can, you put him in that group and he's been fast at places. He's obviously they've taken some notes from what they have over there, and I think Josh is a really good one. Honestly, I feel like this is a rebound for Ty Gibbs. I think this is a place where Ty can just get back to. He was always good at short tracks there in the Xfinity Series, and I think this is a good place for Ty to rebound.
He's plus 5,000 to win. That'd be a really good long shot bet.
I mean, that I would not be afraid of that.
Yeah.
With Ty, they've had fast cars there, and it's a short track, so this could be a good rebound for Ty, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the way you go about this, if you're going to bet pre-week before practice and qualifying, you look at the top 10s. They're not out right now, but top 10s and matchups to kind of find some value because a lot of the favorites are really, really juiced. I would place that, or like you said, TJ, place a Ty
take
Gibbs.
like Ty, even if whatever Brad's matchup is, it's probably pretty favorable to look at right now.
Yeah.
Busher seems to hide a little bit and then show up when it counts.
Yeah.
Priest right now has got momentum. Going to a short track where he's good at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like the Priest play there. I wonder, too, if this is a weekend where Kyle Busch kind of starts to perform or has a great weekend. I think RCR made some changes over the offseason. They had a little speed at the end of last year at Richmond and some of the short tracks.
For sure.
So I would not hedge. I would not say, what I could see them going into Martinsville and running completely contradictory to how they've been running so far this year with the tracks that we've been to on the schedule.
What do you think about
and he's at 2,300.
A long shot to me, and I know this is going to be a difficult one, but it might be worth looking at, is SVG. Martinsville is usually hard on a rookie to go there the first time,
what was he ran? Kind of ran in the top 3 for a while at Bowman Gray.
Yeah.
Plus 15,000.
Yeah. I don't know.
Trackhouse's cars, I mean, Suarez finished second in Vegas, but they're like really hit or miss to me.
For sure.
It's tough to judge them. Like Chastain has a good average finish here, but I don't know if I trust that they'll be good. They show up with speed, and it's a wasted bet.
Did y'all mention Allmendinger?
Not here, no.
Not here.
So Martinsville's like his best track.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at statistics,
I thought Homestead was his best track.
well, you'll look at it's one of his best tracks. Martinsville's a place where he always ran good, whether it was in the Red Bull car or whatever. He always seemed to have a little,
just adapted to it well.
Yeah, I think honestly, Martinsville to me, if there's an oval where a road course guy can apply similar sort of technique, it is Martinsville.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was saying SVG could adapt well here.
I agree. But I think you could go again with a top 10 for Allmendinger and feel pretty confident about that.
Yeah. I mean,
One
2 in a
other
row
guy
is
that
nice.
I think might have would be Briscoe. He's getting to a car that's usually pretty good at Martinsville. Can he pick up kind of where Martin used to leave off there?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Chase Briscoe is the guy this year that the books are just not going to get beat on. He's plus 1,000 to win, and I like him too. He's always a guy I'm looking at because of that, but they're just not going to get beat with him in the Joe Gibbs car. It sucks.
Is Denny an avoid bet? He hasn't won there in 10 years, but he's got the third best odds.
No, I like Denny just because, I mean, probably wouldn't bet him at the odds he's at now, maybe after he doesn't qualify well, but I think he's really been pretty consistent and pretty good this year.
If we walked out of here, came in here Tuesday and said Denny won, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I mean, think about that seems like a long drought for someone for him not win there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, it's not easy to win these things.
He's always been in the conversation too.
Kyle Busch is at 3,500.
Yeah. I wouldn't with Kyle Busch. The last 2 weeks, their speed was kind of off, but I wouldn't take that into consideration here because it's such a short track compared to a mile and a half. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
AJ's at 25,000 to win. I mean, I imagine then his top 10 is pretty good.
I can't wait for that to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd take him for a top 10.
Also, if you take these real long shots, sometimes they'll give you a cash out offer if they qualify pretty well. That would be,
I think
pretty
SVG
lucrative.
top 10 would be good. He's going to be in a position maybe get a lucky dog late or a free pass late, and he's going to probably maybe come get the opportunity to come get tires, but no one else does. So
I'm not doing that. I would take Josh. I wouldn't bet anybody to win.
No, winning's hard there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would take Josh Berry and Allmendinger for top 10s. And another guy that could be Hocevar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
And
one.
he's a short tracker. He comes from late model racing. They've got a hitch in their step.
This is the week that Kyle Busch gets payback on him. Watch.
No.
All right.
Hocevar,
a few people might be in line.
Yeah, there's a line for that.
For that.
So
honestly, if the car doesn't break or something goes wrong, Hocevar is always in the top 10.
Yeah.
It really, like last week, he
Yeah.
had that strategy that he was running 6th, led some laps, and then the car broke. So
I'm waiting for the breakout moment for Justin Haley as well.
Yeah.
Like,
I think he just had it.
top 10 last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's really good.
That is really good.
It's about 10 spots advanced over what they've been doing this year.
Yeah.
but when I say breakout, I mean majority of the race he wasn't in the top 10.
Yeah.
I want to see him in the top 10 majority of the race.
It just seems like in the season so far, they've not been the best Spire car.
Oh, for sure.
And so it's kind of hard to feel like he's going to go even outrun his teammates till we see it, right? I need to see this.
Yeah.
They just haven't had that one peak.
That's the
yet.
way I bet. I mean, I can't go, I can't take a risk. I'm gonna wait for about 2 weeks to find something to believe in.
Yep.
For sure.
But man, that's a lot of great information, and I think depending on whether you're a high stakes, high risk gambler like Tampa Tim's over here with his own nickname, or you're a real conservative like me, we've give you a little bit of everything to bet on here.
Something for everybody.
Yeah.
Something for everybody.
Dirty Modo segment is brought to you by FanDuel, the premier gaming destination in the United States. It's time for the white flag. The teardown was live on Twitter and YouTube this past weekend. Dirty Mo Media's handles is where you can find that. They do such a great job giving you the insight right after the race. Door Bumper Clear was joined by Jamie McMurray on Monday. Jamie did an awesome job coming in, giving us some great insight. People love Jamie McMurray in the booth.
He's good.
He's doing a good job. Good job, Jamie. We appreciate you, man.
Also had a good surprise for him this week.
Yeah. I appreciate him coming through, man. This guy works for the CW. I mean, he works for another media brand, another part of the ecosystem. We all got to work together. Thanks for coming through, Jamie, and being a part of what we're doing here at Dirty Mo Media. Carson Quapple surprised Jamie during the show, announcing his Darlington throwback paint scheme, and it looks awesome. Have y'all seen it?
I have.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, you can check out Door Bumper Clear and see the big surprise. Jamie seemed very appreciative to see the car, and it looks just like it. Just like it. Hell of a job. Actions Detrimental also dropped on Monday. Denny had a pretty solid day, winning a stage and getting a top 5 finish, and he went about celebrating that by podcasting with Actions Detrimental.
Some good moments in that one.
I wore my Actions Detrimental shirt the other day. A lot of fun. Great. Hey.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah. Well, we have this souvenir merch shop at shop.dirtymomedia.com.
You got your hoodie on today.
I do. Got a little logo.
I
right
love that
here.
logo.
I do too. Yeah, it's a great logo. TJ's got his More Short Tracks shirt on. So yeah, you can get hats, shirts, sweatshirts,
Drinkware.
Drinkware.
Yep. Shop. That's shop. SHOP. DirtyMoMedia.com.
They're not going to forget it because how you say
You'll
it.
never forget the name of it, though. Shop.DirtyMoMedia.com. Lake Speed is the guest this week on the Dale Jr. Download. Been wanting to talk to Lake for a while. I was there when he won at Darlington in that car of his, driving his own race car on them Hoosier tires.
Really?
Yeah. Man was on some Hoosiers that day. Made it work. He had some good runs back in the day. Also was the world karting champion. He beat Ayrton Senna.
Lake Speed did?
Yep.
Wow.
Went over to Europe and was the world karting champion.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Did not know that.
Yeah. Old Lake. So it'd be fun to talk to him and see what he's been up to. There's some stuff out there on social media he's been doing here over the past couple of years, and he's got his old race shop, and he's selling some cars and sort of trimming down, slimming down, getting rid of all his cool things. Herman Schrader and Speed Street drops Wednesday. Scott McLaughlin will be the guest on Speed Street, and I'm sure he might have a lot to say because he was in this.
I hope
He was
so.
in an argument with how you say that?
Devlin
Francesco?
De Francesco.
Well, I saw that on social media. If you hadn't seen this clip, it's quite something.
Yeah,
Did you see it?
they're definitely having a disagreement.
Yeah,
Scotty's pretty mad.
yeah.
And I think rightfully so.
What is that song? Scotty something. Scotty doesn't know.
Scotty doesn't know.
Yeah.
Euro trip.
That's what
Scotty
Yeah.
definitely knew.
Yes. It's hilarious. All right. Bless Your Heart comes out on Thursday. I got a new chair. It's pretty sweet. And yeah, so don't forget to check all that out. Appreciate y'all joining in and enjoying the show today. We'll talk to you later.